Welcome to the Grotality Podcast. It's so nice to be with everyone. And May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So, this session, we're going to spend some time talking about work life balance, mental agility, and just overall well being for all. And I'd like to start with just getting some clarity on the term of what does it really mean to have work-life balance. Almost every coaching session revolves at some point or another about life and integration, and whether it's time management or communication or relationships. And, I've had a lot of conversations with leaders across the globe on what exactly is work life integration. And there's opposing opinions, quite frankly, but I'm going to share, just based on some research, what really has stood out by definition. It's really trying to like decrease or minimize work related stress and also establish this sustainability and a way of working so that you're maintaining your health and your general well-being in your life. So again, I think it's like, increasing the fulfillment, the well-being, decreasing work-related stress. A lot of times people talk about not feeling like they have multiple facets in their life. It becomes all consuming, that like it's the work and the role is dominating. And we've seen that obviously with COVID, where people started to work in this, virtual model and then now hybrid, that what's in store is that your kitchen is also your office, your dining room table is your office, or your life is all integrated. And so sometimes the work, because the laptop is looking at you, is dominating. And so ultimately trying to find really an equal fulfillment level of the duality between your personal life and your professional life. And then of course, achieving this balance is our new norm, and that's our goal. And it's got to be by design. It has to be by intention. And, we have a lot of leaders that talk about their sense of responsibility to lead and allow permission for others to fully follow. And when we are working and available at all hours and we're on global time zones, we really have to make sure that we are setting a good example for others. The other piece that comes up a lot is some individuals have their identity associated with their life at work and their career, and others do not. And so trying to find out, like, how do I, even with different generations, how do I not judge others but yet be more wise and in offering understanding and really coming together to say what's going to serve us best to be a whole person at work. And so why is it important? What's the benefit? What are the values? I think is another really important conversation. And when you think about it, like why it's important is that you want to be happy, you want to have fulfillment, you want to make an impact, and you want to have growth and contribution and love and, all of those wonderful things. So our needs are tied up into why this is so important. There's a lot of importance here. And it's really important to not only give yourself, but if you have employees, time and space away from work so they can live in their self, like that, what's important to them, whether it's reading or a hobby or nature or going for a walk. And we really want to make sure that we're allowing that. So ultimately, when you think about making sure mentally and physically, you're taking really good care and treatment of your whole entire well-being, life integration, it's a choice, it's an intention, but it's also an opportunity as leaders for us to serve that to those that we work with. And so let's talk about mental agility first. In earlier this year, I started doing breathing and gratitude and kind of desired outcome setting each morning. I spend about 30 minutes. And it has really helped significantly with my level of patience, with my calm. But mental agility is this capacity to take in events in a more flexible way. And we can like really think about jockeying for different demands in our day, but really even different ideas. And so if you're agile, you can take in the disruption, the change, the unexpected, and find a course of action and try to move forward despite like what was not in our control. And so we often talk about the Venn diagram. And so what's in your control, what's not in your control, what kind of overlaps, that could be a gray zone, because really we have to keep building the muscle of mental agility and driving that flexibility. It allows us to be more efficient. It allows us to be more organized. We feel less stressed. I feel like you get so this is my own personal opinion, but ideas come to me easily. Suddenly I see a pattern or a trend I hadn't seen before, so I'm more strategic, better problem solving, better decision making, an overall level of calmness, and just an ability to show up and be present. So those are the benefits of really making sure you're priming yourself, you're keeping your flexibility. Not everyone has the same relationship with change and disruption, but when you work towards really building that muscle of being more flexible and noticing it and labeling it, and oh, this was unexpected, sometimes even thinking through what could derail you tomorrow or the next day, and in advance thinking about what you could do to prevent it, can make a huge impact. Now, a few pointers that I'd like to share for everyone is we have to be very aware of our inner voice, and we want to make sure that we're being our own best friend. We also want to be less of the judge and the critic, but we want to manage the stories in our head. And sometimes, people will start thinking about um, making assumptions. And there was a quote that I love that was a version of like, we don't always see things as they are. And I don't know who to give this credit to, but it's a version of, we don't always see things as they are. We see things as we are. And this is really a lot of times what causes us stress, both personally and professionally, because we assume we know everything, or we think our perceptions are the right perceptions, or it's because we value something and we prefer something that we see things in a different way. And that can block agility, blocks that flexibility. So recognizing your assumptions, naming them, labeling them, seeking contrary data, trying to prove yourself wrong almost to say, what am I not seeing? Someone said to me last week, and I thought this was great, who told you? When I said, I'm thinking that this might be them going in a different direction or hesitating. And they said, who told you that? And I said, myself, my head, my thinking. So really be aware of what you're talking and see things for what they are or as they are, not worse. So we have to adjust and we have to really be flexible. That's the ultimate. And we really need to be sure that each and every day we set the intention that things are not always going to go exactly as planned. And when is the last time everything went as you expected? So allowing some space and some margin, sometimes not putting things so close together. I think we go back to back and then something runs over and there's a senior person in the call and you don't feel like you can drop off, but you really need to. Being aware of adjustments and margin and making sure you're leaving some space and time. And I think we can see some really great examples over, the last year of people that are pivoting, seeing new ways of doing things. And that really is a critical skill in this mental agility space. Now, we also want to know that we can be resilient. And with grit and resiliency, the more that you study, learn, and become aware that you have the ability to rebound or fall forward, you will have thicker skin. You will be able to succeed. And I think we see this in athletes, that the endurance athletes, where they're really, the true mindset of an athlete that has that resiliency to get back up is who typically wins. And so representing in all facets of your life, being, flexible, finding meaning, and knowing that you can improvise and go to another plan and bounce back or bounce forward is really critical. And then the last is you want to feel refreshed and you want to feel like you're productive. At the same time, you want to honor that purpose that we talked about and finding life's, the little simple things that can bring you joy. So what are some of the ways that you can really drive a more refreshed and productive day? 3 things come to my mind. Number 1, gratitude. Writing it down, little things. I'm grateful for my coffee mug. I love this design that I am working on. It looks really good. Like celebrating even your own accomplishments, is part of what you're grateful for. I'm grateful that I was able to give really good focus and attention to that client, and we made some progress in that meeting. We don't always take the time to reflect and be grateful for some of the things that we have accomplished. So small, medium, or large elements of gratitude is number 1. Number 2, movement. Get out, go for a walk. It can really help with problem solving, where something seems so impossible. And when you're seated at a desk, it feels even more impossible. There was a study that Stanford University did, and they found that creative output increased by 60% when participants were walking compared to sitting. So the increase in the blood to the brain can also improve your creativity. So that's number two. And number three is also a version of your mindset and the growth versus fixed mindset, believing that when you are facing obstacles or challenges, that you don't need to be perfect, you don't need to quit and give up, you need to learn from it, and to really believing that you can grow, that you have the ability to learn from mistakes. I think perfectionism is something that holds so many people back. So having that capacity to navigate stress and change, not trying to be perfect, and recognizing if you do make a mistake, own it, take responsibility, and learn from it. Those are some of the key elements. We are all seeking to find happiness at work. And so really trying to figure out what it's going to take. Again, focus on where you want to go. What would success look like? And really work towards growing your own mindset, your own mental agility and flexibility, and most importantly, your overall well-being. Because if you can find some fulfillment and joy and integrate your life at work and not be, all in on one and not all in on the other, you will find that you have more balance. Have a great week, everyone.